After a really dry start to spring, we've had days and days of rain, and the garden has responded beautifully. It's looking really lush, really green, and we thought, even though it's a little misty, why not take you guys out in the garden for a garden tour and look at what's coming here in April.
That's true. And we actually want to take you right here first, which is going to have a big showstopper now, is all the tulips. And we planted these, or added these bulbs last late autumn, winter. It's like a mix of 4 different tulips called Hidden Gem, and they are just really starting to pop in these pots here. So those we're super excited to have here, and they are in plastic pots, so they are super easy to move around later. When they're finished, we just hide them up in the back, and then we can take them out in the autumn again. But let's go further back here. And actually what we want to show you first is, look at the soil we just added here. Isn't it pretty? All dark. So it's actually soil that we just added a little layer of this mulch here, around 5 centimeters. It's actually the first time in 6 years we added this soil here, and it's willow and cow compost that's 3 years old. So it's not really, in Danish we say it's not hissy, so it means like it's not really too strong for the perennials, for the plants here, so it won't kill the roots, anything. And it's great to do here in early spring when they're all starting to get up, and it keeps the moisture and also keeps away, like when you have this a little thick layer here, it also keeps down on all the weeds actually, and it's just pretty.
Yeah, but just to be clear, it's cow manure.
Yes, cow manure.
Not just cow that's been composted. So cow
A
manure
cow came,
and willow tree bark that's been composted from a local Danish company here, and wow.
It's really pretty, and it's ecologically friendly, so you can, and nice Danish company, you can trace all the ingredients, peat-free, which I also really like. So it's going to do really well here in the garden, and it just, you can almost hear the perennials just being super happy for that. So it's the first year, as I said, but it's really good we did it now, because all the perennials now with the water came, so it's really starting to get strong. And here some of the, like we have one of the ones that really starting to come here, the krybende læbeløs will have blue flowers just in a minute. We have some further up in the garden that's coming. The foliage actually tend to be a bit more dark further up actually, depending on how much the sun they get. But that one is really doing well. And then in clumps, like we actually just planted tulips in autumn, just a little bit random to have a pop of color before all the perennials come. But as you can see, we also do a lot. I know it's not in flower yet, but the Astilbe, it's almost popping up with flower stems. But also the foliage, like dark leaf foliage, which is really nice. And the Sedum here, really like the contrast of just, otherwise you tend to get just green or like lime green foliage. So it's really important also have, when it's not in flower, I always think about that, having that as a contrast, which is really great as well. If we go a little bit further up here, we really have things really coming. The phlox here, and it's just rain, so we actually, they kind of close some of them. We don't have a bunch of bees, because they are just pollinators right now in general, because they're super clever. They hide when it rains, but they're starting to be, that'll be just a blanket. Great for like a border here. We have also, looks a little bit sad now, but the copiella, but look at that one. Has really like fluffy, feathery foliage as well. Really a great one. Also, a lot of these ones that flower now, it's really great for the early pollinators, so those are really doing well. We have a palico here that I can see really great at spreading here with underground runners here, so it's in between those. I just dig up with a root here, and then I can place them other areas in the garden next. Let's just take the moxa over here to the, I know we have a lot of the, because it's so self-seeding, the Brunnera here. But it really gives a nice pop of color here early on. And look at that. And we also have them in the different foliage, the Jack Frost. But that one is really nice. We also have them, you can have them in whites. But it's a great combination actually here with the Brunnera. Then we have the Dagbragstjerne here, the red campion. Look at that one. so pretty. And then with a mix with the pleated twitan here, that really gives a nice little contrast here. Great combination. So the middle flower bed is really doing well. This one is a new one. We added some huge bulb. It's white Allium, which I'm really excited. I did a group of 5 here, so they are going to be, yeah, I'm expecting high expectations for this, but a white big ball. So that's doing really well. And we have also this one is coming, the 9 bark here. Later on we'll have white flowers, but also again, which I mentioned, I really like dark foliage. It gives such a nice contrast. And this one we kind of keep down in this height, around here 150 centimeters tall, but you can grow it bigger, but we like to have it a little bit low so we can still kind of see through, so it doesn't take out the whole space here. But that one is really doing well. And if we jump back to the big flower bed, we have these bjergknopwort here, which is getting in buds. And just look at the pattern of the flower buds here. I really like that one too. This one has white flowers. We also have them in like purple bluish
And we moved this one, if you remember, Lars, it was more in the flower bed.
Yeah.
And this is really, you can keep this guy flowering for a long time if you deadhead it. But it was so far in the middle of the flower bed that 1, we couldn't see it because it's quite low. And 2, I couldn't really get to it to deadhead. So we moved it end of summer.
I think we did, yeah. But we actually, I still see some of the partly or maybe some baby ones still in its original place over here. So it's still like a little bit of the root was left, I guess, so it's still coming here. And this one we also moved the verbena Bampton, the little sister to the big verbena. It was out here, and it gets really later on really quite big, so we moved it in, but it's really still close to the border, so we can enjoy it. That
Not
one is
that
nice.
close to the border. It was on the border.
It was right actually where I would say here it kind of covered some of the other ones. So it's still close enough, I think. Maybe actually I want to show how much we trim back. I think people will get shocked when they see how much we pruned down we have like a butterfly bush, like butterfly candy variety, very like a dwarf one. Gets around like 80 centimeters tall, so it was quite tall. So, and it flowers on the new buds, and you can already see it starting to. It looks just dead, but I'll promise you this will just come back and be really full of. This has really
beautiful pink
ones, and we have a purple one, which we always also pruned actually up. We have some fransk anemone here. Looks a little bit sad here in the rain, but just look at those colors. And these ones we actually normally in other climates you would have to, it's quite protected here in our garden, but normally you would have to dig them up because they don't like to sit in really wet, wintry and hard frosty grounds. But these ones I don't really, honestly, also because I forget to dig them up. And they just come back every year. I don't really do anything to it, so that's great. It keeps coming back. Also here we have some, these ones actually were like a tulip mix we had last year in the other pots. We tried to change them in those pots up there. So these ones we just dug up and then planted here. Put all those bulbs down, and it's really a nice pop of color. I like that one.
Yeah, from inside the house looking out here, you can really see all these little pups in amongst all the green.
And actually, maybe also show them, here we had like tall butterfly bushes I made from a cutting, and they just kept growing and breaking in a big storm. So we actually placed 2 hydrangeas, like a limelight and a vanilla fraise, one here and one further down there. So we really hope, and they're already nice and green, so we hope it'll get a bunch of flowers.
Yeah, we bought them in flower last year from a local nursery. So hopefully...
Yeah, we hope it's going to do well, actually. But everything is just really coming nicely after we really needed the water. We were talking like, should we not water? But we haven't for weeks on. It has just been really dry. But because these flower beds are really established, so we haven't watered, because then the perennials here, they're super clever. They will go down where the water is. So once it's established, the flower beds, yeah, we haven't watered them. So the rain came when we needed it because we didn't want to, yeah, water too much. So, but now they're happy. I actually also want to show them this one over here, the dark one. It's kind of this year, this first year, it's starting to spread, but it's the Fredløs, it's called a firecracker, but I love the foliage, and then it gets yellow flowers, which is really nice. So this one, we also have it in a white variety that also spreads, but I can kind of see now it's starting to spread. But it's easily with a spade or shovel and get these up here when it's in new growth, and then I can, yeah, plant them otherwhere in the garden. But we have it kind of in a group, so it can repeat throughout the garden. So those are nice. And then further up here we have, ta-da, lots of tulips coming, just like random colors. And this is one of my favorite here. Look at that.
Let me get back
Really
up.
looks like a fire almost. Look at that, isn't that pretty? We have had some tulips that didn't really came back. We just talked about the other day, some had just green foliage, and we might have cut it down a little bit too early. So it's really good to let it, when it's finished flowering, not, even though it maybe not look really pretty, let the like it soak all the energy down, so it can really grow for next year. So that's why we had some that just had green foliage. So those are the best thing we have to do is like dig them up and then save them for winter and then add them again. Then they should flower again.
Well, I know we actually cut them down too early.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think we're going to have to dig them up. Well, the ones that, yes, we had a bunch that came up with only green foliage.
Yeah.
We should have, if this happens to you, leave them up, let them photosynthesize, and the bulb will get stronger for next year. But we already cut that foliage down because it was only foliage. So those bulbs we're going to have to.
And the thing is, if we had left it here, because it's, last year we had so many tulips here, if you could say there was a minus about having tulips in a big spot, the foliage kind of killed some of the, here up here we have the hvid fredløs. And we had a bunch that just had green foliage here, and it kind of like gave so much shadow, so we had empty spots here after the tulips were done. So we have to be careful not to have too many tulips. It's a nice mix, but we have to be a little bit careful when you also have the perennials coming. And the amount
starts competing for sunshine.
But the amount here, I think it's pretty good.
I agree. And these yellow ones, we inherited these, or not the fiery ones.
No, those like
the
more
sort of normal tulips.
But look at them, just with raindrops on. Can you see it? I actually like them when they're also closed, when there's no sun. I think they're very pretty. But those were,
That's really the only thing besides a bit of chameleon plant that came with the garden
So
that we kept.
So Alan thinks about the lady we bought the house from when he sees those yellow ones. But I would actually have to comment on the chameleon was from the neighbor. I got it gifted from the neighbor and hadn't read up on, okay, maybe we shouldn't.
But very nice
And,
neighbor.
yeah.
And the white dicentra, since we can see that in the background.
Oh, and look at, before you go up there, look at this one. We really pruned down how it's coming, the butterfly bush.
Yeah, here's a great example. So this one was cut down just as much as
see.
that pink one.
See how I cut, how it's, and we really want to keep it low so it doesn't, you don't have that huge bush here. And then, so we kind of have this more, there's more shade here. So we have some different perennials here coming, but sorry, back to your
No, I kept seeing it in the camera. I thought,
that you had to mention it.
well, it's beautiful.
But look at it, right?
And even
Those
this time
little
of day,
hearts there. Yeah, it's a good day for filming, right? When it's not too sunny.
No, yeah, I mean the raindrops are so pretty.
Yeah. Especially on the lupins, I love just in general, just everything is so pretty with the raindrops on. And notice we have all the furniture out. We as quick as it's nice weather, we have the garden furniture out, so we're ready to be able to sit out here, and we have them out in the front on the terrace, so we are ready to enjoy the sunshine and the summer.
As soon as it comes back.
Yeah.
Our flagpole cherry tree is enjoying its first spring here in the garden. Look at that. It just started blooming here the past couple of days in the rain. So no bees yet, but I'm sure they are eyeing it from from wherever they're hanging out, and they're ready to get to it as soon as the sun
What a
warms
title
everything
it
up.
had. The tree, what a great title. We actually also want to show, we did a lot of, when we were in here in the early spring, it's also a great time when we do starting doing heavy weeding. We also see what's of the perennials have self-sowed, and those we have 2 local plant markets we will attend to here in May, which is always super hyggelig, very cozy it means. And so we have a bunch that I divided somewhere close to the border, and so it has to go. And especially this, like a bunch of Brunnera, both the Jack Frost one, but also the normal one. We also had last summer, we had a project with the government here in Fredericia, and some neighbors, we were 15 neighbors, that we got some of the pavers away, and then we planted native to Denmark. And a bunch also added a little bit more pop of color in spring, and some tulips.
Yeah, so in front of the houses, we removed a bit of
That's what I wanted to say.
pavers on the sidewalk and planted flowers out in front of the houses here on our street.
Yeah, and some hadn't really come back, so I added a few, Brunnera and some other things that's really going to be pretty, and Allium as well, which is going to be nice. We have some flumes here that also just divided that are going to come to new homes. We have some lupins also here sown from seeds. We have Jakobstie. I just love the look at the foliage here. It's called like also Stairways to Heaven. Look, it looks like a little baby.
Stairway to Heaven.
Right, a little ladder there. We have some Liatris coming, also really nicely. And we have some Verbascum and some, this one is also great. I don't think we have it everywhere, which we do. The Toscamon, but flowers late summer. Great for pollinators as well. All the insects like it. We have some Helleborus that I've just picked up from the mother plant around. It's a great self-seeder as well. And we have a little, we have changed a little bit here. We had a lot of this elephant grass in a big area. We want a little bit more actually color also late summer. So we have the lupins that will come first. Then we have some Dow oil here that will come. We have some Violfrøstjerne and some Astilbe, so that will also give some color here. And some Allium, so a little bit lower here, and then this will be a little bit higher here. And some yellow Rudbeck here. So this is really going to be a great just mix of different perennials, but give a lot of, you'll get all the colors in this flower bed. As well as if you look over to I'll come over there, the middle flower bed, really has done well. It's almost hard to remember that we had a trampoline here just 2 years ago.
We moved it last winter. Yeah.
When Malachi didn't want to jump anymore. So it's crazy. We had a trampoline here. We had some perennials like low ground cover under, but now we just took that away, and when we just added some perennials since he didn't want to jump anymore. And different spring bulbs. We have a Astilbe and just also some ground cover. And here again we have a Krybende Læbløs, but in white. Look at that color. And that will quickly spread, but easily to move. I will let it also move out to the stone, so it gives that natural look. Because I think that's really important as well. This one is also almost the geranium here. Look at just again the markings on the foliage here is really, really pretty, I think. And again, a little bit of, I like this, really those tulips here give so much color to this flower bed as well.
There's those water droplets you were talking about.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It's really pretty, and the water just sits on here for, well,
Good.
it won't stop
Good
raining.
You pause there for a minute. Again, here also the Alunrod here. I like the different foliage on this one, really dark, and then it gets like bloop, some stems of. Also, what's great here about some of the, for example, the Alunrod, that's also really one of my favorite. That it's mainly evergreen, and you can have it full sun, shade, semi-shade. So it's really great to have these perennials that you can have, depending if you are in full sun or if you're shade, if your ground is stony or sandy, then these ones are really great as well. So this one is actually a quite new one to the garden. It's called Judaspenge, and again, dark foliage, which I really love. And it's a great contrast, just the flower to the foliage. It's actually biennial, so you need to sow them and then they will flower the second year and then they will die. So you remember to collect seeds of that one. And I definitely need to have a bit more. Here I also want to say here, since we put this soil on, you can really see how we plant in the flower beds here, how closely we plant. Like a lot of them I use my hand as measuring, so I have like a kind of a hand space in between. So you would think that, okay, isn't it too close, but you would rather not have any soil showing throughout the summer, because that means weeds. Any empty spots, there will come some kind of plants, weeds or whatever that will come. So, and you could say, okay, if it's too close after a season, then I'll just divide it and then I'll plant it somewhere else, or you could give it away. But it's better to have it all covered up. And I do have, as if we go a little bit more up here, I have to have some empty spots here. And this one you would think, oh, why is there nothing in here? I do have mainly perennials, but we also sow some like zinnias. We have Salvia viridi, which is like annual flowers that only flower this year and then they will disappear. But they'll give so much color to the perennials as well. And here we actually have one. The Salvia viridi is a great self-seeder. So all these ones, I'll try and pull one up if I can. See here? Oh, I can plant it. But these ones I actually leave here. We don't remove them away from the path. So when it starts to have the second set of leaves, it will actually be clear to see that it's a Salvia viridi. So we'll do a clump. I collected some seeds, so I'll also sow some in. And this one is actually better just be sown directly in the ground, or move those baby ones, because it's in the end it's actually just free plants just growing here. So if I take my time to move these ones before Alan might come and like pick it away. I think it's weeds.
If it lives in the path,
I know, but and to his defense, he doesn't always, know the baby plants.
In my defense,
and he's
the path should be clean.
Yeah, but look at all these.
You have all.
This is not weeds.
Please excuse us while we fight.
Oh wow!
You have all this garden to work in, and I would love to have a clean path.
But I can't. So look at here. Here's a dump one, and this for sure. Oh, look at that. That's a Salvia viridi, like in Danish called dusk salvia. But it's so pretty. It'll have pink flowers called Pink Sunday. So in goes there, boop, and then we'll just be full here. And that one, if you don't have it, I highly recommend you run, check online and get it. You can still have time to sow it directly, and it will flower all summer, all the way to the first frost.
It'll flower from the late summer. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, late summer, and it's edible. You can get it in white, blue, purple, and then this pink. Really, really pretty. But it's a self-seeder. But
an annual. We mentioned that.
And an annual, yeah. But. Because I met a lot like, ooh, great self-seeder. Like also the verbena, I have a bunch I just love they are self-seeding, because I can just move them away if you get too many. I think it's great. It's actually also great time now, because the ground is getting warmer, to put these Gladiolus down, which is one of Alan's favorite flowers, but they need to be dug up every year because they can't stay in the winter. I found some really pretty ones. So I'm going to show you, we're going to do 2 different ways, because I want a trick for more flowering. So first I'm going to add a few handfuls of soil, and then I'm going to place some, maybe like 3 in this pot depending on the size, but around 3, add some soil, keep it water, and then I'll add it in the greenhouse, some of them. For the reason why I do in 2 different ways, 2 different methods, then the rest will go directly in the ground, the bulbs, and I'll plant it 3 times the size of the bulb in the ground. Because then the ones in the greenhouse will come up first, because it's warmer, it will flower first, and then the ones in the ground will take over. So once these ones starts to come up, germinate, and be a little bit higher, they get these kind of sword-looking leaves. And I'll plant it in a group, because then it looks a bit more. So around 3 to 5 in a group would be really nice. Uneven is really pretty. Then these ones, when they start to come up, I'll plant those out in the garden. So they will flower first, and then the ones in the ground will flower later on, late summer into the autumn. So I'm really happy for that. So I'm actually going to take a group of this really pretty mixed ones.
Thank you, Lars. I'm happy for that too.
Right, yeah.
It's a good plan.
You were so stunned that I got
I
these.
didn't even have a comment.
Or did you just think like nod or like shake your hand? Oh, more plants. But
no,
those
actually, these I've always liked, and we haven't had
good.
them. Have we had them here in Fringed?
we had them 1 year and then I forgot to.
We had them
To
at
pick them
our
up,
house before we moved here to Fringed, but that was way before we even met our son, so that's been a long time ago. But I think they're so pretty. I know they're a little grandmother perhaps, but there's a lot in our garden that's considered quite grandmother. I think they're beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to put these ones a
the
little bit
seagulls
spaced.
are going crazy today.
Yeah. About to nest on the neighbor's roof, I think. Not our favorite birds here.
Yeah, we like the neighbor.
Yeah, we do. That's true. Okay, let's put a bit more here. So it's actually also time to sow some of my annuals, my summer flowers like Cosmos, which is a must-have in the garden together with zinnias. And these ones I collected from the mother plant last year and collected here and then just kept in our unheated shed. And it's those little tiny worms looking like brown ones, which is the seed. So what I do, I just have some rich soil. You could also, I sow them in the greenhouse because then I have a bit better control over. You could also directly sow out in the garden about now or in May. But as long as the soil is a little bit warmer. So I just make it a little wet here, the soil. And then what I do, I just take a handful. I don't really sit and put one and one in. I take just like a handful because they can, it doesn't hurt to have them together in a little group. Just add them in here. And then add a little soil on top. And then again keep it watered with my spray. And then I keep water when I see the surface being dry and add them in, I'll check you in the greenhouse in a minute, but I'll add it in there. Place a name tag so I know it's the Cosmos. And then once they have the second set of leaves, I can start to plant it out in the garden. And once, if you have like they get really, if you also, so you can show them inside also if you don't have a greenhouse. If it gets really ratty looking, really stemmy, you can cut the top off like this, and then you add the top instead of throwing out, because once you take after the second set of leaf, if you cut the top, place that in the soil just next to it, it will also make roots, that little top. And that the stem that you cut will then create new side shoots, and then you'll get a bushier Cosmos, which I really like. So because they can tend to get a little bit too bushy, too leggy, and you want more bushy. I'm quite excited this year since we added soil, because the thing about Cosmos is it doesn't need rich soil. Then you'll get a beautiful green bush and no flowers. So it actually doesn't like too rich soil. So I'm excited to see. I hope that's why when we plant it in these less rich soil and then add them out later, I hopefully will get a nice flower and not like just explode and be a bush instead of creating flowers. Otherwise, maybe add them in some containers if you have rich soil. But let's take them to the greenhouse. Okay, so I'll add it out here, and that whole row here will be full. It looks empty now, but that whole row will be Cosmos. And also here some different cuttings. I had like a dissenter here actually that also and I need to see if it created roots, because it fell off the dissenter. So I actually want to see if it created some roots. So I'm going to loosen it and then see if I'm lucky if it got some roots already. I'm going to take it upside down. No, this one doesn't have yet, maybe. Let's see. I think I'm going to take it down the side and see if we're lucky. No roots on that one yet. Ooh, I got to leave it there. I got too excited. But this one I saw clear sign of a cutting that had come. You can see it's rooted there. Let me loosen up. I put it on the side, because then it's easier getting out of the pot. I have to leave the dissenter a little bit more, a few more weeks. See if I can get it out. Oh, there you can see, look at the roots.
And these are just taken from cuttings. Yeah, these lupins.
So this is actually just a new, this is going to be compared to, instead of you doing from seeds, this is going to be a true copy of the mother plant. Will have the same color, so if you had a white lupin, this baby one will also have white colors.
While you do that, Lars, is chirping. It's not seagulls. These little babies, are they still hiding?
Yeah, I think they're over here. I'll let them. I think they, if you sit still, they come here now behind you. You just be super still.
See how big the little babies have gotten?
Oh, there's one more coming there.
And there's the little yellow one.
They are so cute. And they just love to be in here, like sunbathing in the sand. And they like the heat here. And we have windows we open, they get a bunch of fresh air. We do have all the plants up high so they don't, look at the hollyhocks just coming up here. And we have some, I have to show them, look at the verbena here. But this one, I actually just take a clump off and then plant out. That does need to be repotted one by one. But a bunch of this one. We have everything is actually, I've just been checking things that have been winter sown in January. We have the echinacea really coming along now. And we also have I have to show them this one, the flumis here. Look at that one. Really coming too now. So that's a nice one as well. Look at those. From Claus Dalby and Vibbles.
If you don't know Claus Dalby.
Claus Dalby.
If you don't know Claus Dalby, you really should get to know him.
Yeah.
He doesn't post so much here on YouTube anymore or on Instagram.
No.
Because he is an absolute icon.
Yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants. So, but if you ever get a chance, if you do come to Denmark, please stop by and say hi to us on your way to visit Klaus's garden. It is a masterpiece.
Yeah, and we went to see his garden, and it was.
And he's the kindest man,
Yeah.
and he sent us seeds last year, and again this year. We're very glad that Claus even knows anything about us. So.
And by the way, I felt so starstruck just sitting on his terrace, having a cup of coffee and having a chat with him.
I was
like,
starstruck
wow.
too. I couldn't even. Well, I was so
That was
nervous to meet him. He's an absolute legend here and a very kind man.
Yeah.
And a true artist in the garden. So.
Good. Okay, back to sowing, back to business. So this one, I'm gonna just show you how the seeds look like. They look a little bit fuzzy. Very clear. Sometimes it's teeny tiny, but these ones will give so much pop of color, and the pollinators really like the ones as well. And it's just this dark color will be pretty in between. So what I do, I just take a few. These are quite big, so it's easy to handle. So in this pot here, I would put around 5, space them out a bit. Just like that. Oh. And then I'll just put the rest back. So this one here, and then I'll add just a little handful to cover them. Generally, I have my indicator. I would, if it's a big seed, I would add always soil. And if it's like a small seed, like verbena, the teeny tiny ones, like poppy seed looking, most of them, they like to germinate, or just give them gently a little bit of soil on top, otherwise they don't need to be covered. So the bigger seeds, more soil on top. So I just keep it watered here and need to have a name tag, and then that will go in the greenhouse. I think I will put this here so I remember. And then I actually have this one, the lilac here, Astis. You can see that one. That is pretty.
Very pretty.
And a lot of these ones you can also use for cutting. I'm really bad at taking flowers in sometimes. I just enjoy having them outside, but then they will produce more flowers if you take them in. So this one, same, that's a little bit smaller seeds here. And what I also often do also with the Cosmos, you can collect your seeds and then you have them, they look like this, a little bit lighter. I'll also just add a few in, and once they have the second set of leaves, I'm actually from this pot directly, you can sow them inside or actually in the greenhouse. So once they have the second set of leaves, I'll plant them out in the garden, because then I have to do less watering, only in the beginning when they are establishing roots outside. Then I have to water, otherwise they will be totally found out and about in between the perennials. Water that one, and that goes in the greenhouse too. So I'm actually going to plant some out of the Gladiolus now out in the garden. I have a group of 5 here I'm going to place, and they're going to get a height around 100 centimeters. Love the full sun, and they're just going to be nice here. Even with the foliage here coming sword looking, it's going to be a nice view here in between all the perennials. So I'll
Okay.
dig down.
So we'll let Lars get back to that. And I will say thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this afternoon here in the mist. We hope you've had a great Easter this past weekend and a wonderful start to spring. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.
Thank you. Moin.